Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today it's going to be an interesting video. This is a video that I promised for a long time or that I've talked about doing for a long time, and I am just now getting around to doing it. It's a review kind of slash 3 looks video using the Lime Crime Venus palettes. I have all 3 of the original palettes. I bought these for 50% off last May. Yes, I'm aware it's a really long time, but they didn't excite me enough to want to film with them right away after swatching them and using them. And I'll talk about these palettes at the end. So if you want to know my thoughts in general, watch till the end of the video. You gotta stick around. But I will say I did have really mixed feelings about these, and I still kind of do. And I actually don't know if this video is relevant. I don't know if anyone's gonna watch this, but sometimes I feel like it's nice or interesting to go back and talk about older palettes, using older palettes, talking about older things, just because I don't know, it can just be really overwhelming to talk about only new things all the time. You know what I mean? And I feel like people who watch my channel kind of have a similar mindset about that as me. So without further ado, here are the 3 looks using the Lime Crime Venus palettes, and then my thoughts at the end of the video. Okay everyone, welcome to the first look using the Lime Crime Venus palette. This is hilarious. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna do a crazy whoa, this is amazing look. It's gonna be relatively simple, but I don't know. I just want to use these palettes on camera because I have them, and this is going to be my favorite look that I do when I use these palettes. I'm gonna start off with the shade Rebirth. It's this really pretty coral color, and I'm sure I will say I'm gonna put this just in my crease as a transition shade. Oh, my teeth look so yellow today. My lips look when you have foundation on and then you just remove the foundation from your lips. It looks really weird. I'm super sorry. But as I was saying, I'm sure that I will have mentioned this in my intro or whatever, but I actually don't hate these shadows. They're fine. They're just not worth the money or amazing for 2021 standards, you know what I mean? And as always, I prime my eyes using my NARS smudge proof eyeshadow base, and I've set my lids as well. Okay, so I built that up in my crease. Now I'm going to take the shade Muse. So it's this matte, really pretty cranberry color. And I'm going to put this in my outer corner and my crease and just blend it out. Alright, and now to deepen things up, I'm going to take the shade Aucoin. It's just this deep dark brown. And I'm going to put that in my outer corner of my crease again, just build it up. Today is a very exciting day because I'm using this Sigma E27 for the first time. I recently placed a Sigma order, which I'll talk about, I guess, at the end of April in my like low buy update or whatever. This I didn't count as a purchase, but I just felt like I really desperately needed small blending brushes, and this is the first time that I'm using it. It's so exciting. It's basically just like a really small version of like any type of, this is a Morphe M433, like there's tons of brushes like this that are like square-ish, you know what I mean. My brain just like stopped working there, but so excited. And I will say, like, you can see that these shadows actually, like, the mattes especially, like, blend out well. Like, they have decent pigmentation, you can build them up. It's just, there's something about these palettes that is just, like, fine, you know? Like, kind of disappointing, I'm not gonna lie. But, like, the matte, it's more the metallic, or, like, the shimmers, or lack thereof, I should say. But, the mattes are actually pretty good. And then I'm just going to blend Aucoin a little bit more with the brush that I use the shade Muse on. So now I'm going for my lid. I'm gonna take the shade Venus. It is technically supposed to be a shimmer. Does it look almost completely like a matte? Yes, it does. But it is technically a shimmer, or I guess more of a satin. I'm going to wet that, but nothing really can save this. And I'm just going to put it all over my lid. Herein lies my issue with these palettes. As you can see, this is... I haven't actually used this in the crease, but I'm sure that you could actually use this as a matte because it has little to no sheen at all. Even for a satin shade, it's really not, like, there's not a lot to it. It looks as though I'm just putting a matte all over my lid. I love the tone of this shade. Like, I think the tone of this is beautiful. I just like something that has some shine to it, like at all. Okay, so now that I have that on my lid, I'm just gonna take the brush that I used Aucoin on, that dark brown. I'm just gonna take this and blend it out in my crease a little bit, just also because it doesn't have a lot of shimmer. Like, you can pretty much blend this wherever the fuck you want and it's not gonna have a sheen. I feel like I'm being pretty harsh on these shadows, but it's just like kind of the way it is. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna take the slightest touch of Muse and put that just over it as well. Like, because these tones are so like grungy and rusty, you can kind of just blend them all together. I'm just blending this onto my lid a little bit as well. And then I'm gonna take a touch more Aucoin and just deepen up the outer corner because we're going for a really like dark grungy look. And I actually do like the way that this comes out. This Venus shade is just like the prime example of why I'm very underwhelmed with these palettes. Then I'm just gonna put that on my lid with my finger, but again, doesn't make much of a difference. So now I'm gonna take the shade Shell. It's this like pinky, almost corally shade, and I'm just gonna press this with my finger on the middle of my lid. And this is just gonna add a little bit more dimension. This has maybe a little bit more sheen than Venus does. I think maybe because it's like a lighter shade. And then to finish it off, I'm just going to take Rebirth, so that peachy or like pinky shade I used initially, and just buff over everything one more time. And And then finally I'm gonna take the shade Aura. It's this light, like shell color. Has, again, a slight, it's like a satin shade. And then I'm gonna put this on my brow bone. And now just to finish things off for my lower lash line, I'm just gonna take the shade Muse again. And I'm just going to put this all along my lower lash line and blend it out. So I'm also just going to take the shade Icon, which is that dark brown, and I'm going to put this all along my lower lash line and blend it out a little bit as well. And then I'm going to take the shade Rebirth, that peachy shade, peachy pink shade, and I'm going to just blend her out. This is really grungy, really like warm and red, and I actually really like it. Alright, and then finally to finish everything off, I'm going to take the shade Aura again. I'm going to spray that just to give it a little bit more something, and then I'm going to put this on my inner corner. And you can see when I wet that, it is like much brighter, but still not quite my preference. This is actually a fine shade for like inner corner and brow bone, but okay, so now that that is pretty much done, I'm gonna finish at my eyes, put something on my lips, and then I'll be back to conclude. Okay, and this is the finished look. If I squint with my eye, it's because I feel like there's something in it poking at my cornea, but I'm just gonna roll with it. I'm not gonna lie, I actually do quite like this, the way that this looks. In my waterline, I used the Colourpop gel liner in the shade Venus. It's a red. And then on my lips, I went full monochromatic, and I used an old one, the Kat Von D Everlasting Liquid Lipstick in the shade Lolita, which is a throwback. This is from before Kat Von D came out as an anti-vaxxer. This has a crack in it. This is 100% expired and definitely gone bad, but the formula still performs the same. So I'm continuing to use it. Not the best liquid lipstick application, but we're going to ignore that. Like I said, I actually do like the way this look turned out, and I actually do like the way that the looks I do with this palette turn out. There are limited looks that you can do with this palette because it's gonna be a warm-toned, grungy eyeshadow look. Like, you can't really avoid that, but this is like me living my grungy dream life. Anyway, let's get on to look number 2. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to the Lime Crime Venus palette video. This is the second look using the Venus 2. I'm really excited about this. This is probably my favorite palette of the 3 if I had to choose. If the lighting, it's like a little bit weird, it's because my neighbors are outside on their deck, and their deck looks directly into the room that I used to film. And I just feel a little bit self-conscious. So I closed the blinds. But you guys, guess what? I'm wearing shorts. It's so warm out. It's crazy. It's like 12 degrees. And I'm feeling in such a good mood. It's like feeling like spring. I'm so amped. Okay, so what a better day than today to shirk my data analysis responsibilities and film a video. So I'm gonna start off with the shade Mustard. It is, I just think there's nothing better than a good old mustard shade. Ugh. Nothing makes me happier, truly, than putting a mustard in my crease. Okay, so that's in my crease. Now I'm going to put the shade Jam in my crease as well. It's this like matte pumpkin-y orange shade. And yeah, I'm just gonna put that in my crease and my outer corner. But I'm not obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but I'm not going to buff it as high as I did the mustard shade. So now I'm going to take the shade Mud. It's this really warm toned brown. And I think you can probably guess it. I'm going to put this on my outer corner and my crease as well, just to deepen things up. So now I'm going to take the shade Pigeon right here. It's kind of like a blue-green, or no, brown-greeny duochrome, like a warm brown base with like a green flip, that kind of shade. This is, I think, the best shade in the entire collection of all the 3 palettes. I'm going to wet that. I'm just going to put that all over my lid. But this is like the most true, like closest to metallic shade that you get with any of these 3 original Venus palettes. All of them are really, all the rest of them are pretty much just like kind of satins. This you actually get like some shine, and yeah, it's like more creamy compared to the other shades. And then I'm going to take the shade Mud. I'm going to just like a touch more, and then I'm just going to use that to go around the edges on the inner part of my eyes of that Pigeon shade, just to blend it out a little bit and keep the depth there. And then I'm also going to build that up, continue to build that up in my outer corner a little. And then I'm actually going to just try to blend a little bit of the shade Mud and Pigeon together, just because Pigeon does have a pretty strong, like warm base, so they actually blend together pretty well. And then I'm going to take the slightest touch of Jam and just run it also along like this part of my inner part of my eye. And then I'm going to go back in with Mustard and just buff it all along the edges, because I want to have that mustard undertone all along the edges of my eyeshadow. And then I'm going to take Pigeon on my finger and pat that over my eyelid, just intensifying it a little bit more. This actually is just such a really beautiful shade. I love doing this look with this palette. I think it's so pretty. So for my lower lash line, I'm going to take the shade Marsh. It's this green, and this is like the prime example of what I mean when I say it's technically a satin, but it really, especially when you put this on the lid, looks very much like a matte. And then I'm going to take Marsh and blend it out. And then I'm going to take the Mud shade again and put that along my lower lash line. It might be a little bit orange to blend into the green, but I think it'll be okay. Okay, so you can see that like it's really, the green is really not giving me that much. I thought maybe I could build it up a little bit more, but it's not really doing much for me. So I'm just going to take the mustard shade. I'm going to blend the green out, but I'm not going to lie, like it's probably just going to cover it up. And now it just looks a little bit weird, like maybe I have a recovering bruise underneath my eyes, which is a little bit unfortunate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the shade Boot. It's this like, it looks like it has like a purple tint to it, but it's honestly just a black with like blue and purple sparkle, and it looks like just a matte black. And I'm just going to take that on a pencil brush and I'm just going to run that along my lower lash line just because I want to have like more depth. All right, and that is looking interesting. It's looking fine. It's not quite what I envisioned, but it's fine. And then last but not least, I'm going to take the shade Fly. This is like a almost green, like very green toned gold. I'm going to give it a little spray. This is another like basically satin shade, and I'm going to put this on my inner corner. And then just because I have it sitting beside me, I'm going to highlight my brow bone using the shade Aura from the original Venus palette. Okay, and that's basically the end of this eyeshadow look. I like the way it turned out. I had to improvise a little bit to get here. I'm going to do liner, lashes, lips, and then come back to conclude. Okay, and this is the finished look. I'm not going to lie, I actually do really like how it came out. I feel like truly myself. Like this is my true form. Okay, so you already know on my lips I used the L'Oreal lip liner in 114 Matte and Call. And I also used MAC. I always put my lipsticks away even though I show them. Okay. And then I also used MAC's matte lipstick in Yash because I can't quit this new lipstick combo because I just think it's so good. I also used ColourPop's Puppy in my waterline. It is an orange. And I used the shade Boot that I used in my lower lash line. I just put that on my outer corner a little bit to deepen things up. So this is definitely my favorite of the three palettes, as I already mentioned. I mean, I love the mustard in this, is just beautiful. I love the warm tones. I do really like this pigeon shade, but I don't see, this is why the metallics, quote unquote, the satins formula in these palettes is just disappointing, because I know that Lime Crime can do at least like an okay metallic. Like this is a pretty metallic. I have really little to no complaints about it. Why do you choose to keep using the stupid fucking satin formula if you can do it better? I don't know why. Anyway, as usual, everything that I have on my face will be listed in the description box. And if you see me turn my head and my hair is appalling, it's because it looks horrible from the back. Anyway, I need to stop talking and go into the third and final look. All right, we're back at you today looking very glowy for the final look in this video using the Venus 3 palette. This is, it's actually difficult to choose because I like and dislike them all for different reasons. But I think I'm going to do a half cut crease today because I think it's actually illegal for me to do any type of three looks video. I'm not doing a half cut crease and I haven't done it yet. So I'm going to start off with the shade Dreamy, and I'm going to put this in my crease as a transition shade. And I actually really love this shade. I think it's a really beautiful, unique tone of like lilac-y purple that I actually don't really feel like I have. It's actually quite pretty. This palette in particular, I feel like the tones of the mattes are just super beautiful. Now I'm going to take the shade Bliss and I'm going to put this through my crease and my outer corner. And again, this is a really beautiful like tone. This shadow, it's like a peachy, rosy. It's really pretty. I will give it that. Okay, and so in an ideal world, this shade called Ecstasy would be deep enough for my personal preferences to deepen my crease up. It's not. In the pan, it looks like it would be like a little bit of a deeper purpley tone, but I've used it before in my crease in this way, and it just doesn't deepen things up as much as I would like it to. So I'm gonna mix it with the black. You don't have to do this. It's very much personal preference. I'm not really going to apologize for it because it's just the way I like to do my makeup, but I'm going to mix it with the shade Boot from the Venus 2 palette. And I'm just gonna put that in my outer corner and my crease, mixing those two shades together. And then I'm just going to blend that out using the brush that I used the shade Bliss on. And I almost feel like this Ecstasy shade, so the purple from the Venus 3 palette, has like almost a little tiny bit of sheen to it. Like when I use it, I feel like it's not entirely matte. Okay, so that's my crease basically done. I'm going to hop off camera, cut my crease, and then I'll be right back. Okay, my crease is cut. I don't know why I'm feeling so tired. I slept for so long last night. I need a coffee. But now I'm going to go in to Bliss, and I'm going to run that along the edge of my eyeshadow and stamp that on the lid. And then I'm going to take that same little mixture of Ecstasy and Boot on my little brush, and I'm going to intensify the outer corner, and I'm going to run that along the edge of the shadow as well. And that's mostly even. Okay, and so now I'm going to take the shade Beam. It's the shade right here, and this is a little bit of a different, well, it's a lot of it of a different texture from the shades in the other palettes. This is almost like a toppery shade. It's sheer, really sparkly, and it's quite like hard pressed. It's a formula that gets like hard pan really easily. If you swatch it with your finger, you kind of have to like scrape the top layer off when you use it. I'm sure a lot of you, if not everyone, is like familiar with this type of formula. It's really pretty. when you get it to work, but it's also one of those things where it's just like annoying that you have to like try to get it to work. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna put this on the middle part of my lid. And again, this is like this formula is not in any of the other palettes. Okay, and now I'm going to take the shade Heavenly. It's this like purpley, pinky bronze shade. It's again also like really much prettier than it looks when you actually just look at it in the pan. It's the same formula as the shade that I just used. I'm gonna wet that and I'm gonna put this on the inner part of my lid. And then I'm gonna take Beam and Heavenly on my fingers and intensify that on my lid. Again, these are toppery shades, so they are like best applied with your fingers. But that being said, I do find them to get hard pan when you put your fingers in them. So it's kind of like, what are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? All right, I think that's really actually quite pretty. So for my lower lash line, I'm going to keep it again pretty simple. I'm gonna take the shade Bliss, put that all along my lower lash line and blend it out. And then on a little brush, I'm gonna take the same mixture of the Purple Ecstasy shade and the Boot shade from the Venus 2 palette and use that to deepen my lower lash line up. And then I'm gonna take Dreamy, that lilac-y shade that I used first, and I'm going to blend my lower lash line out. And then I'm also going to take a little bit of that Dreamy shade and just blend it along the edges of my upper lash line, just so that like lilac-y tone is still there. And I feel like this just helps with my blending to do as a final step. And while we're here, I'm going to take the shade Paradise. It's this purple satin shade from the Venus 2 palette. I'm going to take this on a little brush. I'm going to give this a spray. And I'm going to put this on the inner part of my lower lash line. This is like a really pretty tone. Again, it's just like not a formula that I love. And then now I'm going to take the shade Rapture. It looks really light in the pan, and it obviously is light, but it has a really strong pink tone to it. So I'm going to take this on a little brush. I keep saying that. On a brush, and I'm going to wet that as well. And then put that on my inner corner. So you can see like it's really quite strongly pink. And then I'm going to take the slightest touch of that shade Rapture and put that on my brow bone as well. Okay, and that's pretty much the eyes done. So I'm going to hop off camera, finish up my eyes, and put something on my lips, and then I'll be back to give my final concluding thoughts. Okay, you guys, and this is the finished look. My hair air dried today, so it's just a little bit frizzy and crazy, so we're just gonna have to ignore that. On my lips, I used the ColourPop BFF Lippy Pencil. Hold on. Look at how small it is. It's so small. I'm almost done with it. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna have to like go on the hunt and try to find a color dupe for this in some formula, because I'm like, it's low. And I also used the Essence matte lipstick in the shade 02. I used to live for a mauve, I don't know. I used to live for a mauve lip, and I haven't used this in a really long time. And I really like the way it looks, especially with this look. So now we come to the time where we talk about my thoughts on this little trio of palettes. It's been a long time. I got these palettes in, I want to say May of last year. So it's almost been a year that I've had these, and I've used them a lot. I used them really thoroughly before I filmed this video, and then obviously I recently used them again filming this video. And I haven't fully come to a conclusion about how I feel about these palettes. because I have just such an intense love-hate relationship with them. And I just would be lying if I said that I wasn't disappointed. Particularly because I feel like the Venus palettes from Lime Crime have just like such an iconic place in like makeup, in terms of like they were really, or at least to me, they really were like the grungy, like cool person, cool girl like palette. And I just desperately wanted, especially the original Venus palette, for so long when I was in high school. And when I was just like on a whim, I just bought these. I had just talked about them in a video like a year ago, and then I was like just randomly on Lime Crime's website and they were having a 50% off sale. So I ended up buying all of them. And the thing about these palettes is that I think I would have ended up with them inevitably, because I just had wanted them for so long. Like, I think I always would have had them on my wish list in a certain capacity, just because I just, it's one of those things that like I just wanted to own at some point. And so I think I would have inevitably ended up with them. They are $50 each. They are not even remotely close to being $50. 50 Canadian dollars anyway. They are, in my personal opinion, worth at most $30, and that is stretching it. They are so overpriced, it's actually insane. It's like ridiculous. Because I will go into my thoughts on like each of the individual palettes, even though I've touched on them when I was like filming these looks, but like they're just fucking fine. Like, they're not amazing. I have much larger, better quality palettes that are $50, and it just is honestly mind-blowing to me that these are fucking $50 each. I did get them 50% off, so I'm not like super crazy intensely upset, but like I would not pay more than 50% off for these palettes. Like, do not pay full price for these palettes, okay? Like, if you get anything from this video, do not fucking pay $50. I can't even begin to stress that enough. So firstly, I'm trying not to make this video incredibly long, but I'll just go into them individually. I also will say, like, the packaging on these, stunning, beautiful. I don't like how boxy they are, but like aesthetically, I do really love them. Venus 1, I mean, this is the iconic palette, right? Like 2016, this was the it palette, I feel. And this palette, color story wise, I love how like warm toned reddish burgundy grungy it is. And I just overall as well, I feel like the tones of all of the mattes in these palettes are really unique, really pretty, and still stand up to like 2021 eyeshadow colors. Formula wise, they're just okay. Like, they blend well, they're relatively pigmented, and they're buildable. Personally, in my opinion, especially with like the choice that you have in like 2021, that is the bare fucking minimum for eyeshadow. They should blend well, they should be pigmented, and they should be able to build. If they're not, like, if eyeshadow can't do that, then what are you doing? Like, if that's harsh, I don't actually really care. They do blend well. Like, I'm sure you can see in all of the like clips that I show of like applying these eyeshadows, they blend super easily. I will give them that. You already know, my main gripe is the fucking metallic formula. It's not metallic, I keep saying that. It's like a glorified satin. I guess I'll insert swatches of these as well. But if these were like, if you put like Juvia's Place metallics in this palette, I would be over the moon with these. I would think they're amazing. But like, I'm just not trying to have a satin eyeshadow that's like this satin. It's basically matte. And it just keeps coming back to that. Maybe you love satin eyeshadows a lot, maybe you love these. It's just not my personal preference. Venus 2 is probably my favorite of the palettes. I also like love this packaging. I mean, I love a mustard. I love a warm toned crease. This pigeon shade is the best metallic in the palette series, and this is what gets me, is because apparently you were able to do a semi-okay metallic. So why do you keep giving us subpar satin eyeshadows? So I know that they can do metallics well, and they keep giving us shitty eyeshadows. So that is actually what makes me the most upset about this palette series. And this Mars shade, this green, it's not good. It's my least favorite shadow in the entire bunch of these. It's not great at all. And then the Venus 3, which is what I'm wearing on my eyes today. The tones of these shades in particular, I think, are beautiful. They're so unique. They're a little bit different than like what you normally get, and it's just like, I do like these. I do like the topper formula. It's not like my favorite, but I do like it when you like can manipulate it to get it on your eyes. I think it's pretty, it's sparkly, it's nice. It's like a pretty like standard like shimmery topper formula, but it does get hard pan if you like swatch it once, and then you kind of have to like scrape off the top layers, so that is annoying. And then this Rapture shade is almost like a little bit different. It's not the satin formula. It has like glitter, almost like glitter pieces in it. Again, just not my favorite. So like, I think one time I watched a video that Karen Harris did, and she said that like lime crime eyeshadows were good at the time, but they're not really like 2020 at the time, or 2021 eyeshadow formulas, and I really, really feel that way. Maybe like that's standard, like maybe you would expect that going into this, but I don't know why. I just had my expectations built up so high. And like, the thing is, I actually do reach for these. I do enjoy using them. I'm not like mad that I have them, but like, I wouldn't, knowing what I know now, I don't know if I would necessarily like repurchase them. But anytime I've posted pictures using these palettes, particularly this Venus 3 palette, people like really love the way my eyeshadow turns out, and so do I. But like, it's just interesting. I don't know. It's mostly the metallic shades that really get me. Maybe this video is completely irrelevant, but sometimes I feel like it's helpful to go back and like talk about older releases, especially because I bought this recently. I don't know, like, I also just have them, so I kind of just wanted to make a video on them and like talk about them. And I would also love to know what you guys think. Do you have these? Did you get these a long time ago? And what do you feel about them? I also will say, like, I just don't see myself buying from Lime Crime. Like I said, I had like a moment of, truly a moment of weakness when I bought these, if I'm going to be honest. But I feel like you hear like so many shitty things about Lime Crime, and then I'm like, oh, maybe they're okay, and then something else happens and I'm like, oh no, never again. So like, Lime Crime is also a brand that I think I'll probably just end up staying away from. But it's just like, I've promised this video for a long time, and I don't know, I just wanted to like honestly have a dialogue with you guys about them, and like, I want to know what other people think. So let me know if there's any other palettes that you want me to film with, or any other older palettes that you want to see me use, or anything like that. Please let me know. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye. Let's just get into it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna do like a crazy, like, oh my god. And